Memento Mori. Remember, you are mortal. Legend has it that when a Roman general was successful in a particular military campaign, when he would come to Rome, they'd throw this big party. It would go for several days, and it would be in his honor. And the legend goes that he would have someone following behind him saying, Memento Mori. Remember, you are mortal. On my LinkedIn profile, instead of like a job description or maybe what I do, in that little byline, I have, if you knew today was going to be your last day, what would you do differently? And I think it's important to keep this in mind as we operate through our lives. A lot of the conflicts we get into, a lot of the grudges we hold, a lot of the arguments or pettiness that seems to be so important when we're in the middle of it, when we put it in the right context, it actually just goes away. Because one day, I won't be here to give the people I love that hug. I won't be here to extend the forgiveness, to extend the understanding. One day, they may not be here. I had a good friend of mine over 20 years ago pass away. Someone I was extremely close to. So close that we'd suffer from the porcupine syndrome. This is the syndrome of, the idea is that it's a cold night and two porcupines, they want to get closer to feel each other's warmth. This is what represents the human intimacy, the warmth we can feel from each other. But as they get closer, they feel the prick from each other's quill. And this is the kind of relationship I had with this person. He was very close to me, someone I could be honest with and he could be honest with me. And sometimes that honesty was a little raw. And the Saturday before he died, we got into a huge argument. It was a blowout, F you, C sucker, all that kind of name calling that happens in those kinds of arguments. And he passed away on a Thursday. But that Wednesday, I'm not sure if he called me or I called him, but we got on the phone and we apologized to each other. We reinforced the idea that we truly are interested in each other and want to see each other in the best light we could. I was so fortunate for that call, so grateful. Had he died with my last words having been the vitriol that came spewing out of my mouth, or the last words I heard from him was the vitriol spewing from his mouth, it would have changed the context of everything. If you knew today was going to be your last day, what would you do differently? Memento Mori. Remember, you are mortal. There's an exercise I like. It's one I've been practicing for at least a decade, maybe longer. I'll do this oftentimes as I'm in bed trying to go to sleep. It's dark. I close my eyes, and I try to imagine what non-existence is. Not what an afterlife is, not some type of heaven or some type of hell, but non-existence. I no longer exist. This was difficult the first few times I tried it, because as I would start to think about my non-existence, I would feel this suffocating feeling on my being. It was very, very intense, and I'd have to stop. But each time that I came back to the practice and tried it again, I was able to sit through that suffocation longer and longer. And as I broke through to the other side, something changed. I was able to be okay with my non-existence. As I could contemplate it and feel it, what happened is in my everyday life, I became more grateful and I became less argumentative and less petty. Because the reality is, Memento Mori. Remember, you are mortal. Remember, you will die. Death is something that none of us really are comfortable with when we first start to contemplate it. But if we can spend time contemplating our non-existence, oftentimes when I hear people talk about an afterlife, and mind you, there doesn't have to be a God to be an afterlife, nor does there have to be an afterlife for there to be a God. Those can be mutually exclusive ideas. And so most of the time when I hear people talk about an afterlife, it's either a reflection of their guilt, a reflection of their shame, or a reflection of their hope and their desire of a continuance of their ego. Who knows? But what I definitely know is that whatever happens to this person that I know as Matt and you know as Matt, when I die, I won't be here any longer. When you die, you won't be here any longer. I won't have access to you, and you won't have access to me. Remember, when you argue with a loved one, when you hold resentment against a family member, when you have bitterness in your heart, you may not be able to resolve that bitterness. Memento Mori. Remember, you are mortal. We're all stuck in the matrix. It's your job to find your way out. I hope what we share helps.